All right, everybody, welcome back. It's Mo again. Well, in this lecture, what we're going to be looking at is how we could transfer the FSMO roles from the 2019 to the 2022, because what I'm about to do is to decommission my 2019 domain controller. So I'm looking at 2022 and higher. Now, do I have to decommission the 2019? Of course not. I mean, they could still work. But let's say you're trying to get rid of 2019 and go to the latest, let's say 2022. Let me log on to both domain controllers and see over here. So watch this. What I could do is the following. I want to actually transfer the FSMO roles this time using the GUI. So watch this. At the moment, this one is connected to 2019. So if I right click the domain and choose Operations Master, it tells me who's holding the role. That's the top option. And the bottom option tells me which server I'm connected to. So if I click change, and nothing's going to happen. So what I have to do is right click, change domain controller, connect to the one that I want to transfer the roles to. See that? Now I right click and I do Operations Masters. Who's holding the role? 2019. Who do you want to transfer to? 2022. Now I click on change, and yes, now look who's holding the role. 2022. PDC change, yes. Right? See, it's easy through the GUI. Change, yes. All right. Now, if I go back here and do net down query FSMO, I'm only going to see three of them that are pointing to the 2022. See that? Just like that, immediately it took effect. How can I do the domain naming master? It's another console. So tools, Active Directory domains and trusts. And I'm going to have to connect, change Active Directory domain controller to the 2022, then operations masters, and I do change and yes. And now who's holding it? The 2022. I go back over here and I could see that who's holding the domain name master is the 2022. What's left? The schema. Well, how do I open the schema? Remember, I have to register a file. REGSVR32 SCHMMGMT, right? .dll. There you go. And then I open the MMC and I do file, add remove snap-in, and I choose Active Directory schema, all right? And click on add, then okay. Now I go ahead, I right click Active Directory schema, change domain controller. I'm going to change to the 2022, right? And then there you go. I just changed. Now I right click and I do operations masters. And now I say change. And yes. And now it's the 2022. So if I go back here and I do net down query FSMO, I can see that it's a 2022. This is perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to the 2019 server. Right now, the DNS is pointing to itself. That's fine. The DNS on this one is pointing to the 2019. We'll talk about that later. But look what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and decommission the 2019 server. Now, I'll go to Manage, remove roles and features, and I'm going to go ahead and remove Active Directory domain services and click on Remove Features. Let's give it a moment. I have to demote the domain controller. Now, of course, I'm not going to do a force removal, right? So, because I want them to talk to each other, I'm just going to go next. And it tells me what it is. It doesn't tell me that it has the FSMO roles, because right now they're actually on the 2022 server. So I'm going to go next, put a password, right? So this domain controller will become a member server because the domain still exists. It will become a member server. Let's give it a moment. It should not take long, and then it should actually restart. Let's give it a few more seconds and see how this actually works out for us. There you go. Okay, it's good. It's actually working on it. There you go. It's finished. See how it's like it takes only a few seconds to remove a DC. Now, this is no longer a domain controller. So how can I actually verify that? Well, let me actually go back to Server Manager or here, and I'm connected to my 2022 domain controllers. I don't see the 2019. It's actually going to be under the computers container. It's a member server. I just went ahead and decommissioned Active Directory, removed it from the 2019. Then once I log in, I should do what? send it back to a work group, right? Because it's a member server. So that's what I need to do. Let's give it a moment and see how this actually works out for us. Because it's part of the domain. Maybe I want to leave it as part of the domain, right? It could be. But let's say I'm trying to really remove everything that is 2019. I want to make sure that I have is only 2022, right? Let's give it a moment and I should be able to log on. All right, almost there. Now, you see, the problem is it's taking a while right now because it's a member server and it's pointing to itself for DNS. And now DNS is not running on the 2019 server. So that's why it's taking a while, just to let you know. So, what I have to do here is I have to go back over here, local server, and go to my network settings and make sure I'm pointing to myself for DNS, not to the 2019, because I don't have DNS running on the 2019 server. So I'm going to go back here and make this 163, right? So I'm going to be pointing to myself, which is 163, then okay, then okay, right? And refresh. Okay, see, it's taking a while because of DNS. It's like I'm having trouble resolving Udemy.local. That's what it's saying. I'm having trouble resolving Udemy.local. So that's the best approach. Try to avoid an upgrade. Go merge, transfer the FSMO roles, make sure that 2022 is a global catalog, it's running DNS, and then decommission. In other words, remove Active Directory from the 2019 server. So right now, what you have is just a 2022. If I go back and show you something here, and right over here, if I refresh, let me just actually close it and open Active Directory using computers one more time and go to the properties of Udemy. Look at this. I still have domain function level 2016. Okay, you see that? So that did not actually change. If I try to raise, it's still what, 2016. So let me go back here and log on. I'm not going to log on to the domain. It will take forever. So I'm going to do dot. I'm going to log on locally. And you see this? And put the password. It will be faster. Because if I try to log on to the domain, it's like, where's DNS? DNS is not running on the 2019 server. All right. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send this machine back to a work group, and that's it. I don't need the 2019 server anymore because I'm depending on just 2022 right now and higher. Let's say in the future, server 2025. All right. Let's go back to the system, change the computer name, right? So the domain membership is no longer there. So I'm going to type work group and okay. And give it a few more seconds. There you go. I should be able to restart. And then what it wants me to do is like, okay, maybe it's better to remove the roles DNS and DHCP because the roles are actually still running on this machine. But I don't care about this machine anymore. I'm trying to decommission the system. But that's what I should actually do also. Remove the roles of Active Directory domains and DNS. So those roles are not there. Now I could be in trouble here because what I have is just one domain controller. So I should set up another 2022 as a replica, right? Just like what I showed you before with the 2019 version itself at the beginning. Let me go back here. In our next section, I'm just going to start a Windows 11 and just join it to the domain and show you how it works with Windows 11 and 2022. It's the same thing as Windows 10, right? It's just a different client operating system. When it comes up to domain or testing group policies or user accounts or any of that. See, now it's a standalone server, right? It doesn't say like, okay, you want to log on to the domain. No, it doesn't. So that's a good thing. So my next step is to remove the role Active Directory Domain Service and DNS. So let's give this a moment and see how this actually works out for us. manage, remove roles and features, next, Active Directory domain services, and DNS. Then remove features, and I'm gonna go next, and put a check mark. It should restart anyway, and then remove. Let's give it a moment and see how this works out for us. All right, it should not take that long anyway. All right, it should not take long. And there we go. And then it's going to restart. Then I could actually suspend this virtual machine and continue with our next lecture, which means I'm going to bring in a Windows 11, all right, with, of course, coexist with a server 2022, right? So let's see, this one should be restarting in a moment because I put the check mark in the box to reboot upon completion. All right, it looks like it's about to actually do that, even though it's at this percentage. Let's see. All right, there you go. We're actually done. All right, so we're done right now. What I only have is a 2022 because this machine is a work group. The roles are actually gone. So we're actually fine with the 2019 server to be gone. I could just suspend it, remove it. If it's virtualized, whatever it is, I could actually remove that. So what I'm depending on right now is just the 2022 server. So I'm going to go ahead and suspend this virtual machine. So what I only have is a 2022. In our next lecture, I'm going to bring in a Windows 11 and see how we could work between Windows 11 and 2022. So we'll see you folks soon. All right then. Bye.